Test 5. This is the IELTS listening test. You will hear a number of different recordings and you will have to answer questions on what you hear. There will be time for you to read the instructions and questions and you will have a chance to check your work. All the recordings will be played once only. The test is in 4 parts. At the end of the test, you will be given 10 minutes to transfer your answers to the answer sheet. Now turn to Part 1. Part 1. You will hear a man phoning Community Learning Centre to get information about the sports photography course it offers. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 6. Now listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 6. Good morning, Community Learning Centre. What can I do for you?
Oh, hello. I'm calling about the sports photography course you offer. I learned about it from an advert somewhere in the newspaper.
OK. May I have your name, please?
It's Chris Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Is there anything in particular you would like to know?
Yes, I'm eager to improve my photography skills. You know, my son has just joined the school football team this semester and I want to keep a visual record of all these precious moments. But when I took shots, they were often too blurry. You see, I'm no expert, so I'd like to find out about the level of the course to see if it's suitable for me.
Well, this course is intended for beginners only, but there will be an advanced course for experienced photographers next semester.
That's good to know. I think this course works for me just fine. Do I have to go for an interview to register?
There's no need to do that. We have plenty of vacancies right now, so if you plan to register, I can sign you up over the phone.
Great. But before that, how much does it cost?
It was $45 last year for a single student. Luckily, this year we have more funding, so the price has gone down to $38.
Oh, good. So when will the next course start?
Let me check. Just a minute. It's Monday today, so there was a course that ended just last weekend. Then there's another one starting from April the 17th. But if you miss this one, the next one is from May the 1st.
That's too late. I'll just register for the next course then.
May I take your phone number?
Sure. It's 0713 9587 302.
OK, I've made a note of that. When you come to take the first lesson, please bring 2 photos that you've taken.
Is there any special requirements for the photos?
Yes, you reminded me. The weather of the 2 shots should be different.
Like one on a sunny day and another on a snowy day?
Yes, exactly. Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 7 to 10. Now listen and answer questions 7 to 10.
So apart from the photos, do I need to prepare anything else for the course?
Nothing more.
Do you have a syllabus for the course?
Sure, you can download it from our website. Just key in Community Learning Centre of Pinewood. You can also come over to the centre and get a copy.
I'll just download it online, but can you please introduce the course in detail? The course covers 2 days, right?
Yes. On Saturday morning, the instructor will explain all the basics of amateur and professional sports photography and the differences between them, followed by instructions on the use of specific equipment for various sports, like long lenses and monopods for shooting football matches.
That's exactly what I need to know. What about the rest of the course?
On Saturday afternoon, there is normally a workshop on the technical side of things. For the photos that your classmates have brought, you'll have to work together to decide the best position to take these shots.
Oh, that's interesting.
On Sunday, there's a workshop taking place in a computer-equipped room where you'll learn to edit different shots.
That sounds challenging.
Indeed it is. There is also a section on some tricks to sell them.
To magazines and newspapers, you mean?
Yes, mostly to the publishing industry.
I'd love to.
That is the end of part 1. You now have 1 minute to check your answers to part 1. Part 2. You will hear an audio guide to the State Museum and its exhibitions. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 15. Now, listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 15.
Welcome to the State Museum, situated in the centre of this truly multicultural metropolis which is home to more than 30 different nationalities. The museum has a number of exciting displays and exhibitions, and this audio guide is designed to help you fully enjoy your visit. There are 15 galleries in total, and this season sees the opening of 3 new exhibitions. We suggest that you start your tour with these highlights of the season. The Heritage Clothes exhibition is located in Gallery 3 of the museum. People who live in the area have spent 2 years preparing this exhibition, which brings together some of the fascinating garments traditionally worn in their own communities. They looked into the history of their community's clothing traditions and the customs and rituals related to them. Overall, there are 16 countries from 5 continents being represented. The photos that accompany each exhibit were taken by some of the city's college students who are studying design and show the clothes being modelled by the real people who wear them in the course of their everyday lives. Another remarkable highlight of the season is the exhibition known as Toys from the Past, which can be visited in Gallery 9. This exhibition, appealing to people of all ages, is on tour throughout the country and will be here for 10 weeks only. Items on display include dolls produced over a century ago with beautiful porcelain faces and, in some cases, real hair. The whole collection covers antique toys such as wooden train sets from many different generations and offers plenty of fun to children and adults. The gigantic board games laid out on the gallery floor are among the most popular activities in the exhibition and should not be missed. A special display of miniature toys brings this exhibition to an end. These small objects are on loan from countries all over the world, some of which measure no more than a few centimetres. There is a tiny car made from matchsticks, a toy aeroplane with the pilot and passengers made out of seashells, and some delicate mini houses no higher than 4 centimetres.
Before you hear the rest of the talk, you have some time to look at questions 16 to 20. Now listen and answer questions 16 to 20.
The final highlight of the season is the Biscuit Gallery, number 15. About 2 decades ago, this city was renowned for its biscuits, although today the factory no longer exists. Did you know, for example, that before biscuits were wrapped in paper or cardboard boxes, biscuit tins were fashion items? The factory manufactured round, square, triangular and hexagonal tins for a whole range of different occasions to celebrate national events, festivals, famous faces, etc. One fascinating exhibition displays people's favourite biscuits. There are sweet biscuits and savoury ones, biscuits filled with jam and biscuits filled with currants, biscuits with coloured toppings from sugar icing to chocolate sprinkles. When the factory finally closed, it announced that people's favourite biscuit was not, as you might expect, a chocolate biscuit or one filled with jam and cream, but a plain, savoury one which was eaten with cheese. When you get to the end of the exhibition, there is an entertaining, hands-on activity to fill your own biscuit tin. All the biscuits ever produced by the company are piled up on the table along with various tins. These biscuit replicas are made out of thin pieces of wood, but the weight, colours and shapes highly resemble the original biscuits. Your job is to fill the tin with biscuits, and when the lid is taken off, the biscuits are neatly placed as if the job were performed by a machine. It may not be as easy as it seems. If you would like to buy a memento of your visit, there is a museum gift shop which sells postcards, souvenirs, and handmade pottery next to the information desk on the ground floor. And finally, if you don't want to carry your coats and bags around with you during your visit, please make use of the complimentary lockers provided by the museum. Enjoy your visit.
That is the end of part 2. You now have 30 seconds to check your answers to part 2. Part 3. You will hear 2 students called Jeannie and Dan discussing some research on the effects of music on consumer behaviour. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 26. Now, listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 26. Hi, Dan. How's it going?
Hello, Jeannie. Pretty well, thanks. Have you finished your research yet?
Yes, it's all done. I've spent several weeks on it, from the very beginning of deciding the topic to carrying out the research and writing the essay.
Congratulations. Seems like a big project. I know the research is to do with music, but what is it exactly about?
Well, at first I didn't have a specific purpose until one day I read a report that said if appropriate music is played while people are eating, it may cause some changes in their behaviour. But the report didn't illustrate the changes in detail. So I wanted to carry out a thorough investigation into this.
That's quite unique. So, how did you conduct your research?
I started by looking for 5 different restaurants and then went to each of the restaurants to order some food and observe other people. I mainly focused on how the music is played instead of how people eat. Findings of my observations indicate that the 5 restaurants have something in common. They all have a special section to play the music. More importantly, although the music is played at different times, the volume is unchanged.
Sounds attractive. I've never read anything about this before. In addition to observation, what other research methods have you used?
I also distributed the survey questionnaire to people dining there.
What questions are posed in your questionnaire?
Well, the first section of the questionnaire asks subjects to indicate the number of times they have been to the restaurant previously, the number of people they dine with, and whether they think they will return to the restaurant. These early questions don't involve musical preferences, but largely act as distractors, the intention being that subjects will be less inclined to think that the survey is about the music being played.
That sounds very reasonable. Did you design the questionnaire by yourself?
Actually, no. I read an assignment a student wrote last year, which was just kept beside a dictionary in the library. I came across it when I was looking something up in the dictionary.
Oh, you were so lucky. Is there any other question included in the questionnaire?
Yes, subjects are also asked why they choose to dine at a particular restaurant. Several reasons are listed in the questionnaire. I thought people would put service first, but that's not the case. Only about 12% of them have chosen this reason, while the majority of respondents think whether they will pick this restaurant depends on how many available seats it has. They think it's terrible to eat in a crowded place.
Yes, everyone wants to enjoy a meal comfortably. Then I guess maybe the location of a restaurant is an important factor, since no one likes to waste too much time on the way.
It used to be, but nowadays nearly every household has a private car, so they don't have to be worried about the traffic problem. What I find interesting, however, is that a large percentage of people say they will compare different restaurants in the neighbourhood on the internet first. If one of them stands out from its rivals, they will choose it.
Wow, it's really interesting.
Before you hear the rest of the discussion, you have some time to look at questions 27 to 30. Now listen and answer questions 27 to 30.
What else then?
Well, the second section of the questionnaire asks subjects to respond to the music being played by rating, so that the relationship between music and perceived atmosphere could be examined directly. As a means of examining purchase intention, the final section of the questionnaire asks them to indicate the maximum amount of money they are prepared to spend on their main meal.
So, what have you finally discovered?
I collected all the questionnaires and analysed people's answers to get a clear idea of their reactions to different music conditions. The result shows that music has become an indispensable part of restaurants. If people find there isn't any music during the meal, they will think the restaurant charges too much.
Yes, now music is everywhere in our life. Is there any difference in people's attitudes towards different musical styles?
Yes, most people think that if jazz is being played when eating, they tend to stay at the restaurant longer and order more food to enjoy the music. But this is quite the opposite of what happens when classical music is played. Many customers think if the restaurant plays classical music, they wouldn't like to stay there for another minute, but to finish the food quickly and hurry away, because they don't like this type of music at all. And lastly, about pop music. It's very popular these days, especially among young people, as I've noticed in restaurants. They like listening to this type of music during their meals. As a result, this greatly increases the possibility of their presence at the same restaurant.
Great. I've learned a lot from your research. I think it's meaningful and innovative. Thanks for telling me, Jeannie.
You're welcome, Dan. That is the end of part 3. You now have 30 seconds to check your answers to part 3. Part 4. You will hear part of a lecture on cube houses in Rotterdam. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now, listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40. Good morning. In today's lecture, we're going to look at the Cube Houses, an iconic architectural complex in Rotterdam. First, I'm going to be telling you about the history behind it. As many may know, not much survived the bombing of Rotterdam during World War II, and it took a long while for the city to start the urban regeneration project. Dutch architect Pierre Blom designed Rotterdam's cube houses in the late 70s at the request of the city's planners. He had previously experimented with cubic architecture in the city of Helmond. So, when he was offered this project in the Oudehaven area of the city, he decided to expand upon his original idea. Blom believed that urban communities should live together under an urban roof. He designed the cube houses to recreate daily life in a village where individuals are closely connected and yet have their own separate space. And even after more than 30 years, the cube houses remain one of the city's most eye-catching developments. It's easy to see why. These striking homes are cubes tilted 45 degrees on their side. The result is buildings that look, feel and behave unlike anything you'll find elsewhere in the world. The concept behind these houses is that each elevated cube seems like a tree. And, collectively, the cube houses are in the shape of a forest, with each triangular roof representing a treetop. Interestingly, these houses are located right over a pedestrian bridge across one of the busiest streets into the city centre next to a railway station. The traffic-free area that connects the cubes includes a little children's playground, as well as small offices and studios. With thriving restaurants and cafes right on the doorstep, they were designed with the community very much in mind. However, the cube housing's development endured various challenges and complications during design and construction, and it once stopped as the designer had difficulty in finance. Luckily, the project resumed within 2 weeks after the designer received another round of grants from the City Council. So, what makes the cube houses different from traditional architecture? Let's look at some of its unique design features. Each cube house has a space of 100 square meters and is divided into 3 floors, and it is very striking to see these houses fixed on one angle. The tilted residences are constructed on 3 concrete pillars. The whole construction is made of 38 regular cube units, all connected together with 2 supersized cubes at both ends of the string. One of the 2 larger cubes was developed as an architecture school, and there is another building recently built between it and a warehouse. Standing at 3 floors tall, their ground floor is the entrance. When you enter a cube house, the first thing to get used to is that all the walls are slanted. You must take a narrow staircase to reach the lower floor. This level and the top level are both triangle-shaped. The lower level contains an open kitchen and a living room. The medium level houses a bathroom and 2 bedrooms, while the top level provides a great view since the apex of the room is a 3-sided pyramid with windows all around. In some cases, the top floor is used as a small rooftop garden. And as you enter the top half of the structure, your initial inclination may well be to mind your head. Now that you know the history and design features behind these odd-looking houses, you might be thinking about how it is to live in them. After curious bystanders kept disturbing the Cube House's residents, one shrewd owner opened the Show Cube Museum, which gives visitors the chance to take a tour around a fully furnished cube house. It also highlights some of the everyday challenges that the residents face, such as buying and fitting furniture for a structure without straight walls. In recent years, Rotterdam's cube houses have been joined by another architectural icon just across the square. Rotterdam's Market Hall, the largest indoor market in the Netherlands, is another multi-purpose residential and retail complex that will live long in your memory, as well as helping to fill your belly with tasty treats. In 2009, the Rotterdam-based Personal Architecture, B&A, converted one of the larger cubes for one of the leading stay-okay hostel chains in the Netherlands. Today, the hostel invites everyone to experience what it's like to live in a cube house and enjoy a stunning panoramic vista of the surrounding area. What attracts guests most is its ideal location with a major railway station within a 5-minute walk. The accommodation is also offered at a fair price, which appeals to visitors both from home and abroad. That is the end of Part 4. You now have 1 minute to check your answers to Part 4.